Welcome to our channel. Today, we will be exploring Ethiopia's ancient connection with Asia. Have you ever wondered how ancient Ethiopia, this proud African land with its mountains, deserts, and ancient churches, could have links to distant Asia? Yes, Asia. What if I told you that centuries ago, long before modern maps were drawn, the people of Ethiopia were already interacting with Asian empires, trading with Arabian kingdoms, and even sharing bloodlines, beliefs, and languages with lands far beyond Africa? Stay with us until the end of this video, because the story of Ethiopia's ancient Asian connection might just change how you see African and world history forever. You're watching Echoes of Africa Culture, where we bring you real history, deep insights, and ancient truths made easy to understand. Now let's begin. To understand Ethiopia's ancient Asian connection, we must first look at its location. Ethiopia sits at the Horn of Africa, right across the Red Sea from southern Arabia. That short stretch of water has never truly separated people. Instead, it connected them. Thousands of years ago, ships, caravans, and camel traders moved freely between Ethiopia and ancient Arabia. These weren't just quick visits, they were deep relationships. People married across the Red Sea, exchanged goods, told stories, and even worshipped similar gods. Now, let's take a closer look at one of the earliest signs of this connection. Let's go back to around the 8th century BC. This was the time of the Kingdom of DMT, one of the first civilizations in Ethiopia and Eritrea. Here's where things get interesting. Archaeologists have found strong links between DMT and the Sabaean civilization in what is now Yemen. The Sabaeans were powerful traders from southern Arabia, famous for frankincense, gold, and spices. But more importantly, they shared a script, language structure, and even building styles with early Ethiopian kingdoms. In fact, ancient inscriptions in Ethiopia show the same South Arabian script, a clear sign of cultural exchange. Some historians argue that Sabaean settlers came to Ethiopia and mixed with local people, bringing their knowledge, religion, and language. Others believe the exchange was mutual. Africans went to Arabia too. Either way, DMT became a symbol of this African-Asian blend. But cultural exchange wasn't limited to trade or architecture. It went deeper. Let's talk about language. The ancient Ethiopian language called GeEz is one of the strongest pieces of evidence for Ethiopia's Asian connection. GeEz is the liturgical language still used by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church today. But where did it come from? Linguists say GeEz belongs to the Semitic language family, just like Arabic, Hebrew, and Aramaic. These are languages from the Middle East and Asia. That means GeEz isn't related to many other African languages. Instead, it shares deep roots with Asian tongues. This doesn't mean Ethiopians are not African. It just shows that their history is richer and more complex than most people know. GeEz shows us that long before colonialism, there was already a blending of African and Asian ideas in Ethiopia. Religion also connects Ethiopia to Asia in deep and powerful ways. Long before Christianity arrived, ancient Ethiopians followed spiritual traditions that closely mirrored those of southern Arabia. One striking example is the moon god Al-Maka, worshipped both in the Ethiopian highlands and the Sabaean kingdom across the Red Sea. These weren't just passing similarities. They were shared belief systems that crossed waters and boundaries. When Christianity reached Ethiopia in the 4th century AD, it didn't come from Europe. It came through Syrian monks, Coptic bishops from Egypt, and early Middle Eastern churches. These Eastern Christian communities shaped Ethiopia's faith and worship practices. That's why Ethiopia became one of the first Christian nations in the world, but with a Christianity that was rooted in Asia and Africa, not Europe. Even today, you can see the influence. Ethiopian crosses have intricate patterns like those found in Eastern Orthodox churches. Their church music has rhythms that echo Syrian chants. And their rock-hewn churches follow sacred designs that reflect ancient Asian Christian styles. Ethiopia's spiritual roots remind us it stood at the crossroads of Africa and Asia, shaped by both faith and form. Now let's shift gears and talk about power. From the 1st to the 7th century AD, Ethiopia was home to one of the world's greatest ancient empires, Aksum. It wasn't just powerful by African standards, it was recognized globally. Aksum thrived through trade. It exported gold, ivory, frankincense, and exotic animals, and imported silk, spices, and glassware from faraway lands. It had strong commercial ties with Rome, Persia, India, and even China. Chinese chronicles speak of rare African goods arriving through the Indian Ocean trade routes, many believed to have originated from Aksum. Its bustling port city, Adulis, was like an ancient Dubai. Ships from Arabia, Persia, and India dropped anchor there, filling the markets with color, sound, and commerce. Even Aksumite coins, found across Arabia and the Mediterranean, had Greek and South Arabian inscriptions, a clear sign of their cross-cultural influence. So, when we say Ethiopia had Asian connections, it wasn't just occasional. It was continuous, strategic, and global, placing Aksum at the heart of one of the world's earliest international networks. Now let's turn to something visual, something you may have quietly observed but never fully understood: Ethiopian facial features. Many Ethiopians have sharp noses, high cheekbones, slender builds, and curly or wavy hair, features that may look distinct from other sub-Saharan African populations. But why is that? It's not just about appearance. It's about ancient genetics, a story written in the bloodlines of a people shaped by geography, history, and migration. Genetic studies reveal that Ethiopians have a unique blend of sub-Saharan African and Eurasian, Middle Eastern and Asian ancestry. This isn't recent. These genetic exchanges happened thousands of years ago through trade, intermarriage, and the constant flow of people across the Red Sea and Arabian Peninsula. One major study, published in Science in 2015, showed that modern Ethiopians carry up to 40% non-African DNA, mostly from ancient Middle Eastern populations. But here's the key: this isn't foreign or strange. It's part of Ethiopia's authentic identity. This fusion created a people with deep African roots, beautifully enriched by Asian ties. Because of this blend, Ethiopian culture is truly unique. Take their food, for example. Dishes like injera and doro use African ingredients, but also reflect Middle Eastern spices and cooking styles. Or their music, filled with ancient scales, string instruments, and vocal styles found nowhere else in Africa or Asia. Even Ethiopian script, called Fidel, is one of the few indigenous alphabets in Africa. It evolved from South Arabian roots, but became its own, completely unique writing system. Then there's their calendar, different from both the Gregorian and Islamic calendars. And their time system. Ethiopians count 6 a.m. as the first hour of the day. All of this makes Ethiopia a cultural island. It's African, but it's also something more. Let's talk about what science now confirms. For years, there were debates, some even controversial, about whether Ethiopians were purely African. But modern DNA science has brought clarity to the discussion. Genetic studies from respected scientists around the world now confirm that Ethiopians are among the most genetically diverse populations on Earth. Why is this the case? Because Ethiopia has always been a crossroads of civilization, a place where sub-Saharan African tribes, Arabian settlers, Jewish migrants, and even Asian traders met, mingled, and intermarried. This rich blend is not a theory, it's written in the DNA. One large-scale study revealed that Ethiopians carry ancient genetic markers not just from Africa and the Middle East, but also from South Asia, especially among communities near the old Aksumite ports. So what does this mean? It doesn't make Ethiopians less African. It makes them historically richer. Their blood is like a living archive, carrying the footprints of ancient empires, lost tribes, and global connections, etched deep into their genetic code. Now let's explore one of the most fascinating parts of Ethiopia's story, the ancient connection to Israel and the lost tribes. There's a long-standing belief that one of the lost tribes of Israel may have found refuge in Ethiopia. This idea is rooted in the story of Queen Makeda, better known as the Queen of Sheba, and her historic visit to King Solomon in Jerusalem. According to Ethiopian tradition, their union produced a son, Menelik, who later became the first emperor of Ethiopia. Legend says that when Menelik visited his father Solomon, he secretly returned to Ethiopia with the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred chest that once held the Ten Commandments. While historians continue to debate this claim, what's undeniable is the presence of ancient Jewish communities in Ethiopia, most notably the Beta Israel. They practiced Judaism for centuries, long before modern interaction with the State of Israel. Whether legend or truth, This connection highlights how deeply Ethiopia's religious and spiritual roots intertwine with ancient Asia. So why does all of this matter? Because Ethiopia's ancient Asian connection shows us something powerful. It reminds us that Africa is not isolated. It was never just about tribes and jungles. It was about empires, trade, ships, language, and connection. Ethiopia proves that Africa had global relationships long before colonialism. Before the British, Portuguese, or French arrived, Ethiopians were already trading with India, marrying into Arabian families, and speaking Semitic tongues. They had their own writing, their own Bible, their own Christianity, their own kings. Today, when we celebrate Ethiopia's beauty, uniqueness, and strength, we are also celebrating Africa's global past. In conclusion, Ethiopia is a land of mountains, monasteries, and mysteries. But it's also a land of connections between Africa and Asia, between past and present, between bloodlines and beliefs. From the ancient GeEzLanguage script to modern-day genetics, from the legendary Queen of Sheba to the mighty Aksumite kings, Ethiopia's story is not just African history, it's world history, a global thread woven through time. So here's a question for you. Do you think Ethiopia's deep connections to Asia and the Middle East change how we understand African history? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. If this video sparked curiosity or taught you something new, give it a thumbs up, share it with a fellow history lover, and subscribe for more untold truths from the past. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge, because history is always deeper than we think. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.